guess you're ready.
Wait.
So the name of this podcast?
Hello. Say hello first.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome. We know what we're doing. We're professionals.
Definitely.
Also, full disclosure, we're recording this during retrograde, so
yeah,
there's that. If anything happens, it's her fault. Anyway, hi. This is our podcast. Welcome.
hello.
Is that better? Yeah. So the name of our podcast is the
forget the name already.
I didn't know you were gonna cut it. It's the traumatized and the abandoned, and it's a double entendre. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say I think because like I have some serious childhood trauma because I was raised by a narcissist, which go into that later. And Nikki.
I practically kind of raised myself. No offense to my parents.
I know, right? I was like, I know my mom's not gonna watch this, so I
doubt my mom's gonna watch this either. But like, she was just like working all the time as a single mom, so like, kind of like the abandoned. I got abandonment issues. It's fine. We're healthy.
Fine. We're fine. So mentally stable, which is why we love true crime and murder.
Which is why it's also named that, because we're going to be talking about true crime and creepy things and everything in between. So,
like abandoned houses and traumatizing events. Yup. Nailed it. But yeah, I mean, like personally, I've always been known as like a super sensitive person. Empathetic empath. So like the paranormal have always really interested me, but also terrified me because I don't want that bad juju. Like I think we're both terrified of Ouija boards.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely will not touch a Ouija board. Absolutely.
Like not. I don't want to be in the same room as one.
Like, no, I don't want to be in the same building as one, even though I have been, which is a story for another time.
No, for sure. I don't know if I've ever actually seen one in person.
I didn't see it, but I knew it was there, and I didn't.
That's fair.
I didn't want to participate in the nightly activities that went along with it.
No, I would have ejected myself very quickly out of that house. And like, it's not that I'm scared of other spirits in general. It's like, I don't know. I just get a really icky, evil feeling. Like, oh, what's yours?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm fascinated by it. Like, I'm fascinated by like the science behind it. So, like the evidence that you find that's like scientific, like the EMF fields and actually catching stuff on camera and stuff. That stuff fascinates me.
See, that's so cool. Like I'm more like a feely, like, so the people who feel like the coldness change and like the touches and like the hair pulling and stuff and like that. I don't know. It excites me, but also absolutely terrifies me because I don't want anything to touch me. Thanks. And then, yeah, I mean, true crime is really, be honest. Who doesn't love a good true crime story? Like,
it's just human nature to watch a train wreck happen. You know?
It's drama, you know?
That's why when there's a car crash, insteed of like just minding your own business, it like traffic slows down in the other lane because everybody's looking over to the car crash and wants to know what's happening. It's just human nature to watch. I
get so pissed off in the interstate or like, oh, there must be an accident up here. It's in the other lane. Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, that's a whole nother rant. Anyhow.
So let's introduce ourselves. We explained the podcast. We didn't really introduce ourselves.
That's Nikki.
And that's Jess.
There you go. And we're traumatized and abandoned.
And yeah.
We got some issues. But like to be fair, I think our past really like it fuels the like interest in it, because like for me, especially with true crime, if I see somebody like murderers, do you know how many like serial killers are narcissists? Like
most
of them. So like being raised around that and like lived through it, like I could see like their gaslighting. You know what I mean? That's not a term I was ever really familiar with before. Therapy. So much therapy. But yeah, I think it helps kind of seeing things like that and not really understanding them, but sometimes you could be like, oh yeah, that's why that person didn't see all these red flags, because they were being gaslighted into thinking it was normal.
Meanwhile, I've always had a fascination with abandoned places. Wonder why.
Wait, what? What's your favorite abandoned place? Literally putting on you the spot. You can also totally edit this out.
I honestly used to watch like a YouTube channel that would like go to abandoned places and stuff, but I haven't really looked into it. But I do have like an abandoned that I want to do eventually for one of our episodes. But yeah, okay. I grew up in North Dakota, and in North Dakota there's a lot of like ghost towns and stuff, like towns that boomed once and then like just dropped off the face of the earth. And
like the gold rush stuff.
Yeah. Well,
right?
For North Dakota is more like farmland. So like the Homestead Act. So you're like trying to get out there to get like pieces of land and stuff. But yeah. So I'm Nikki. I grew up in North Dakota, lived in Virginia for a little bit. So if my accent changes from Midwestern to Southern, don't be alarmed. But I have a little family, a husband, and a little boy, and we're just living our best life, I guess. I don't know. That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, so I'm Jess. Also, we're very similar, like scary similar to a point. Because I lived in Virginia almost all my life, and then I've moved to New York like 6 years ago. So also, if my accent's all over the place, don't judge me. Sometimes I'll throw like a Southern twang in there because I lived there for like 20 years. And then I moved up here recently. That math doesn't math.
That definitely doesn't math.
You know what? No, you're right. I am 26. That math. God, how long have I been in New York? It's been that long.
It's definitely been longer than that.
10 years. It was 10 or 11 years. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I have a husband and 2 cats. But yeah, I don't do self-introductions very well. I think that's all. Either. Oh, we're both Hufflepuffs. That's a thing.
True. Both Hufflepuffs. I'm a Gemini, so I think that says a lot about me. Maybe.
I mean, I'm a Leo. I feel like people hate on Leos more than they do Geminis.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked. Anyways, so how the podcast is gonna like kind of work is we each we have a topic. Like this week is haunted items. And then each of us are gonna tell each of us is gonna tell a story about something. So and then it'll be like a rotation of sorts. We haven't figured out the rotation, but one week will be like true crime stories. One week, disasters. One week will be shipwrecks. Just like as we come up with the ideas, we will do them. And our first one is haunted items. So I'm assuming I'm gonna go first.
I mean, if you want.
Unless you wanted to go first. I figured you'd want yours to go last.
Whatever you want. It is quite girthy. It's okay. There's a lot. So
that's the word you wanted to use.
It came to mind, so I went for it.
It is our first episode, so forgive us if tangents happen and whatnot and stuff. So.
Oh, I plan on tangenting a lot. Sorry. I'm a Leo. I don't know.
I'm a Leo.
I don't know if that correlates, but we're gonna blame that. Anyways, okay. So what is your first one?
Okay, so I picked the Hope Diamond, which apparently I didn't know was cursed. So if any of you have watched the Titanic,
okay. I was gonna say
that diamond is called the Heart of the Sea, but obviously the Hope Diamond wasn't on the Titanic, but the Heart of the Sea was based off the Hope Diamond. If that makes sense.
So they just like inserted that shit in the movie, and it wasn't even
on the Titanic.
Factual bullshit. Okay. Anyway, fictional movies being fictional. How dare they?
How dare they?
What is my life? It's a lie. Okay.
So I'm just gonna have the pictures ready so I can show them to you. Okay. So in the early 1900s, a famous jeweler would present an American heiress a magnificent blue diamond. Along with the diamond, he would tell a tale of a curse that followed the stone. It told of a thief who stole the stone from a sacred statue and then died, of a queen who wore the diamond and then was beheaded, and of one of the richest families in Europe falling into financial ruin while owning the stone.
Because they got crashed on that Titanic.
The heiress fell for the enthralling tale and bought the stone known as the Hope Diamond, but that's not always been its name. So,
you know, I actually saw the Hope Diamond.
I'm trying to think if I did, because I have been to the Smithsonian, which is where it resides now.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't remember seeing it.
It was like,
I did.
It was in obviously a really thick casing with like a velvety pillow under it. Like it was very, and it was like big. It was actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Bulletproof, blast-proof. It's like the most secure case in the world.
Well, yeah, because it's like, it's legendary, obviously. Yeah. But it's cursed, so you shouldn't steal it.
Very cursed. But yeah, I remember seeing the ruby slippers, because that's all my sister and my stepmom wanted to see was the ruby slippers. So like that's the only thing I remember from that trip from Wizard of Oz.
Why did they have the ruby slippers at the Smithsonian?
I don't know. They're there though. They're there.
I do not remember seeing those. So.
Well, also the Smithsonian is like 5 different buildings.
It's so like, big.
Yeah. Anyways.
There's so many. Okay, sorry.
So the Hope Diamond started off as a 112 carat diamond, described to be a beautiful violet color. The diamond is suggested to have originated in the Kolar mine in India, and if I said that wrong, I'm so sorry. Where the French merchant traveler Jean-Baptiste Tavernier purchased it.
Do you know how much you purchased it for?
No, it is unknown.
Interesting. That's a big ass diamond. You think about it, like an average size of a diamond nowadays is like on a finger is like a carat, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 2. Oh, so it's raw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Side note, from the documentary that I watched, many Indians believed that diamonds had inherent qualities depending on the color. So like a white diamond represented prosperity, a red diamond represented bravery, and a blue diamond represented misfortune, ill omen, bad luck, etc.
Okay, well that checks out. Interesting, because you think about, like, when I think of red diamond, I think of like a blood diamond. You know, is a blood? Wait, is a blood diamond red, or is a blood diamond called that because of the blood that was spilled to get it? Next episode. Anyway, we'll We'll get into that later. But anyway,
so after Tavernier purchased it in India, he brought it back to France and sold it to King Louis the 14th in 1668, along with various other diamonds. It is reported differently everywhere how many diamonds was sold to King Louis the 14th. Like, the documentary said 1,000 like various stones and diamonds and stuff, and then like the same, like, because the documentary is from the Smithsonian, and also most of my information is from like the Smithsonian article on it.
Oh, you official. Okay.
Yeah, no Wikipedia here.
Oh,
except for the pictures.
You didn't have to call me out like that, but it's fine.
I did use Wikipedia for a little bit, but I like cross-referenced and stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, so like in like the Smithsonian paper, it was like 100 or so. Like it was very different. Either way, he sold a bunch of diamonds to King Louis, including the one that we're talking about. Also, another side note, King Louis is said to be the one that popularized diamonds, like wearing diamonds and stuff. Before him, it was basically pearls. Like, you wore pearls as expensive.
Okay.
Like, to show that you were, like, expensive and stuff. King Louis the 14th was also known as the Sun King. So, like, he was very shiny with his attire.
Shiny. That was he also a giant crab who, like
So the diamond was known as the Tavernier Blue at the time, was then cut down by the court jeweler to 67 carats in 1673, being renamed Blue Diamond of the Crown of France, or the French blue to English-speaking historians, because who wants to say Blue Diamond of the Crown of France?
Very long.
Yeah, so yeah, so they also said that it was very impressive how they cut it down in that time, because obviously they didn't have advanced technology. So the fact that they cut it down to 67 was pretty impressive for them.
Yeah, because what the fuck do you use to cut diamond?
More other diamond.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
A diamond is the hardest material on the scientific hard.
That's what I was thinking.
At least according to my like 7th grade science. I know fingernail. Your fingernail.
I was homeschooled I was homeschooled in 7th grade, so that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
explain.
Your least, like, on the hardness scale, I don't know what's in the middle, but I know your fingernail is the least hard, and then a diamond is the hardest. That's what I remember. Anyways.
Out of my fingernail, like, okay.
That's the scale. At least that's what it was. I don't know. Schools changed a lot. Math changed.
Facts.
So
Math
it's like
did
scary
change.
now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, for sure.
So in 1749, King Louis XV had the French blue reset into a ceremonious pendant for the Order of the Golden Fleece, which was a Catholic order of chivalry, or like knights. So it's basically just knights.
You wear this thing around your neck?
Well, no, it was like a pendant, like a pin, like a pendant.
Oh.
So that's what it looked like. And the blue diamond is like at the bottom, and then it had like other diamonds and stuff in it.
Damn.
Yeah.
And who got to wear that?
I'm not sure if anyone wore it. It was just kind of like a ceremonious pendant for so like for ceremonies and stuff. Otherwise it was kept with like the crown jewels.
Wow.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is where owners of the blue jewel where their seemingly bad luck begins.
Because they kept cutting the shit down. That's why you fucked with it.
So in 1792, I don't know, he's Louis the 16th and his family would be imprisoned during the early stages of the French Revolution.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
during this time, most of the crown jewels were stolen by a group of thieves in a 5-day looting spree. So basically, when the royal family got imprisoned, they moved the crown jewels to a government building. And the thieves went in one night, stole a bunch of the crown jewels, and didn't get caught. So they kept going back for 5 days till almost all of it was gone.
I mean, impressive. Good for them.
Yeah.
But also, how could you be a security guard and be like, oh, they got it again. Oh, they got it again. Like, by the third night, would you not be like, oh, maybe we should.
Who knows if it was even guarded? Because it was during the French Revolution. So they were probably busy doing other shit.
Right. Fighting people.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
all right. I won't judge them too hard.
And then, well, we all know what happened to the owners of it shortly after.
Oh, well, now we do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's important. Like the whole family?
The king and queen got beheaded, and the children definitely died. I don't remember how, but yeah. No one was left alive.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Pretty sure. Besides, like, a distant cousin, maybe? I don't know. I haven't read up on the French Revolution in a very long time, so don't quote me on that.
You were like, everyone knows what happened, and I'm like,
Everyone knows Queen, what is her name?
Is it? As if you're saying Boleyn, then I will know that. Queen Elizabeth?
No. Marie Antoinette. She was, like, known as, like... Basically, she spent a lot of money. The people hated her. She got beheaded.
Oh.
The French Revolution begins.
History by Skeeter. Also, full disclosure, I'm a very ignorant American. Sorry. I should know more history, and I don't, and that's my
Meanwhile,
fault.
Everybody else's history fascinates me besides America's. So...
Well, because we have America shoved down our throat our entire lives, but it's like... I think last night we were talking, like, I don't know when Colombia became a country. Like, that's a country. Like, I don't know when that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
So,
moving on.
So, many of the jewels were later recovered that was stolen, but the French blue was not among them and seemingly disappeared. Until 20 years later... In 1812, a deep blue diamond was documented as being in possession of a London diamond merchant. And strong evidence indicated that the stone was the recut French blue. So by the time it made it to London, it was recut to, I think, about 44 carats.
What do you do with the extra? Like, how do
you do with the extra?
Like, you know what I mean? That's like how many... That's a lot. Anyway, sorry. That's a lot of extra diamonds.
I'm pretty sure it like gets chipped off, so you can't like do anything like with the chips of a diamond.
Oh, that's just depressing. Okay, keep going. This is sad. Y'all be cursed. You keep chipping away at this thing.
Keep chipping away at it. So the diamond merchants. Yeah, strong evidence indicated that the stone was the recut French blue and the same stone known as the Hope Diamond today. So, a side note, in the documentary, it was said that they did a test to legitimize that the Hope Diamond was the French blue. They made a 3D replica of what the French blue would have been, put a mold around it, and then put the Hope Diamond in the mold and like filled it in, and the Hope Diamond fit snugly into the French blue. So
okay,
that's how they said that it was
science.
Yes, science. So there's conflicting stories of what happened to the diamond during the years it was in London, but it has been suggested that it was acquired by King George IV. Because he was rich. Like, he was like possibly the only one who could afford it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
And at his death in 1830, it is said to be sold. It was said to be sold through private channels to pay off the king's enormous debts. Though there's no proof of it. Like, there's no like ledger saying, yes, I bought the diamond, or there's no records of it being like in his possession. But that's where everybody thinks it was. I mean, it makes sense. He was like the only one that could afford it at the time, you know? I mean, well, maybe not, because, you know, debts.
I was good. Maybe he got in serious debt because he bought the diamond and it just full circled him after he sold it. Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm with you.
In 1839, the diamond makes an appearance as an entry in the gem collection catalog of a well-known wealthy British banker, Henry Philip Hope, from whom the diamond takes its name from now.
Ah, okay.
Though how he got it or how much he paid for it is unknown. So, like,
suspicious.
Yeah, it's just unknown. Its journey in London for all the time that it was there. After Hope's death, the diamond passed to his nephew Henry Thomas Hope, and then passed on to the nephew's grandson, Lord Francis Hope. So,
can you imagine getting that as an heirloom, as a family heirloom? Like, oh, hey, by the way, I just had this diamond sitting in my
giant blue
attic.
diamond.
It's yours now. Congratulations. Like, try to sell that thing. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So Lord Francis Hope fell into financial ruin by apparently gambling away $75 million.
Oh, no.
You want to know why? Because he was trying to impress an American showgirl and feed her lifestyle.
Oh, yeah. We fancy over here.
But he had to, he ended up having to sell the diamond. And for a couple of years it changed hands, going to and from, like, across the, like, pond, like going to New York, coming back to London, going to New York, like trying to get buyers. And
what pond?
What pond?
The pond.
The
Got
pond. It. Usually because the owners needed to pay off their debts, so they couldn't, like, afford it anymore. Like, yeah, it's literally
interesting. Maybe the diamond was making them broke. Like, maybe that's part of the curse. It's like, oh, you want to buy me? Well, you're fucked. Sorry. You're gonna have to sell me. Anyway.
But in 1909, Pierre Cartier acquired the diamond.
Ooh. Okay.
Have you heard of Cartier?
PT? No, PC? No.
What? I mean, it is PC, but you know who Cartier is, right? He's a famous jeweler. Okay, that's a no. He's a very famous jeweler.
For doing the Hope Diamond?
For more than just that. Like, Cartier is, like, a known... We'll have a little science. We'll have a little history lesson after this.
I get my jewelry at K Jeweler. I cannot say that
K
word.
Jewelers.
I have a speech impediment. I can't say that word. That's where I get my, every kiss begins with K. That's me.
Like,
so I don't know who that is.
I'm not huge into, like, the jewelry either, but, like, Tiffany & Co. Tiffany & Co. Like,
oh yeah, like expensive. A Tiffany's, like a blue box. Absolutely.
Yeah, like the super expensive Cartier is very expensive jewelry.
Well, that's why I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
your girl's broke. Okay.
Anywho, so this brings us back to the beginning of our story, where in 1910 the Hope Diamond was shown to Miss Evelyn Walsh McLean of Washington D.C., our American heiress. Okay. At Cartier's in Paris. He sold this lavish tale to Miss McLean, and she bought the diamond for $180,000. Or, in today's money, $4 million.
Yikes. Okay, you said that, and I was, like, literally thinking, I was like, it's not a lot of, it's a lot of money.
In 1910.
It's not a lot of money. That makes sense. Okay, $4 million. Got it. Jesus, for one diamond. Okay.
But she only accepted the offer with an exception. If the curse caused something to happen within the first 6 months of her owning it, she would get all her money back.
Oh, so they knew at this point it was cursed.
That's how he sold it to her. Like that, my beginning paragraph where he's like, "Oh, the merchant who first, like he was trying to say that Tavernier like died because he stole the diamond from a statue, but that's not true."
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah, and because he also like said a queen was beheaded after wearing it. There's no proof that she ever wore the diamond because it was in that ceremonious pendant. And they wouldn't take it out of the pendant for her to wear it. So he was trying to sell you later, like, oh, it's cursed, like, come and buy it. But yeah. But that's not what happened, actually. Miss McLean's story, that's not what happened, like, the first 6 months. Nothing happened. So, see, get the doing. But Miss McLean's story is a true rags to riches story. She was born in 1886, and her father struck rich in a Colorado gold mine. And at 22, Evelyn married Ned McLean, whose family owned banks, a railroad, and the Washington Post.
Ooh, okay.
Yet it is said that buying the Hope Diamond was the most exciting thing to happen in her life.
Okay.
She never believed in the curse, and the early years were nothing but pleasure. The McLeans owned the most.
What did you do with that diamond?
No,
what do you mean pleasure?
Like, it was happy. It was wonderful.
Okay.
Jess, God damn it.
You said the word pleasure. And I
like, didn't think you would go there.
It's a diamond. What are you doing with that poor thing? It's cursed. It's seen enough. Anyway.
The McLeans owned the most expensive property in DC at the time, which is now the Indonesian embassy. So if you like look it up, you can look at the mansion or whatever.
Okay.
And celebrities, politicians, and even President Harding would flock to the parties Evelyn threw for an unforgettable night with the Hope Diamond at the center. Evelyn would display the diamond in an unusual way, though.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Wait, no. Sorry. What would she do?
The diamond would be worn around the neck of her Great Dane, named Mike. She would literally...
A dog?
She would literally walk around her dog with the necklace, him wearing the necklace.
It was probably too heavy to fit around her neck. Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, she wore the necklace a lot. Like, there was even... She was making, like, a home movie, and she's, like, wearing that.
I mean, the disrespect. No wonder the diamond was pissed. I'm like, wearing it around a dog. Oh, she looks like yep. No, that makes sense. Oh my god, she looks like Cruella de Vil met Meryl Streep. That's what she looks like. Anyways. Moving on.
Yeah, so for 10 years, Evelyn enjoyed having the diamond, but then disaster would strike. While she was away at the Kentucky Derby, her 9-year-old son was playing in the front of their estate when the boy runs out in front of a passing Ford Model T and is struck. He was knocked to the ground and hit his head and unfortunately passed away hours later.
Oh, that's a buzzkill. Aw.
The disaster became headline news with the talk of the curse. Everybody's like, "Oh, the curse is happening." And unfortunately, this would only be the beginning of their bad fortune. Soon after, the Washington Post went bankrupt, and the McLean family fortune is decimated.
Well, it's because she put the fucking diamond on her dog. Like, you know this thing is cursed. Why would you taunt it? Oh my god. Anyway.
Yeah. Evelyn's marriage fell apart and her husband ended up in an insane asylum.
For what?
Probably just because like he lost everything and just couldn't handle
Yikes.
it.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And their only daughter took her own life at age 25.
Oh my god. Okay.
Though she never believed in the curse, by the time she died in her 60s, she had become the embodiment of the curse.
Yeah. Did she believe in it like after all this shit happened?
It just said she still never believed it.
Okay.
Harry Winston Incorporated of New York City purchased McLean's entire jewelry collection, including the Hope Diamond, from her estate in 1949 after she died. Mm-hmm. For the next 10 years, the Hope Diamond was shown at many exhibits and charitable events worldwide. And on November 10th, 1958, they donated the Hope Diamond to the Smithsonian Institution, where it still stays today, and it immediately became its premier attraction.
Facts. Like, literally, when I went to the Smithsonian, I think I distinctly remember it because it was like the most crowded room. It was, I mean, there were other things in the room, but like it was in the center of the room with like underspell. Like, it is definitely like the center attraction.
But yeah, so
it's really pretty.
What do you think? Is the diamond cursed, or is it just a story to get a rich woman's money?
I mean, I believe in curses, so I might be a little bit like on one side of the fence or not. But yeah, no, I definitely think, I mean, here's the thing, because like I didn't believe Mercury was retrograding, and like I thought that was complete BS until literally we were talking about it, and it was like a month of hell. Like it was actual hell, and like this retrograde has absolutely screwed me up so bad.
Yeah.
As we hate. P.S. We also both stream. So you should check us out on our Twitch pages too. But like I literally was streaming last night and today, and like nothing's working right. So I believe in curses. I believe in Mercury. I believe to respect them enough. Like, don't go mocking stuff you don't know what's out there. Don't put it on your dog.
Don't put a $4 million diamond on your dog.
Like, even if you didn't believe in the curse, that's just disrespectful. Like, come on. But yeah, no, I definitely believe in it. I didn't know. I had no idea. It was cursed. So that's interesting. Do you think it's cursed? After doing all the research?
I'm on the fence. It would make sense if like the whole story of like him stealing it from a statue, like you know, it would make sense then, because like, but other than that, like it has no reason to be cursed. It was found in a mine, taken back to France and sold to the king, unless being with the French family is what cursed it. I don't know.
But you said that the Indian culture believes that color diamond.
That's true. Yeah,
is trauma and cursing, and then whoever kept it either died or went bankrupt. Like it never stayed in a spot for an extended amount of time.
I think Evelyn is the one that held on to it the longest.
And look what happened to her.
Yeah.
Like, she put it on her. Anyways, I'm gonna stop commenting on it. That just blows my mind.
She put it on her dog.
It blows my mind. Like, first of all, if I sniff a curse, like if I sniff that something's a curse, I'm not allowing it near me. But if I did, like if it was a diamond of that size, I mean, yeah, I would respect it. I would build it its own case, like put it on a velvet pillow and like clean it every day.
And I mean, maybe that's why the Smithsonian hasn't, you know.
True, because they respect it. Ooh,
but also it was donated to the Smithsonian, so they didn't necessarily purchase it either. So
they didn't buy it. Interesting. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Good first topic.
Thanks.
You ready for the mood to get very sour?
Yep.
Okay. And this is so like mine. I was listening to my inspiration for podcasting also, by the way, is and that's why we drink. I love them. They are literally like top tier inspiration. I was listening and they did this story and they got so many letters and emails and stuff afterwards about how like just listening to the story like made people physically sick.
Oh my.
People got in car crashes, so I wanted to get it out of the way. I wanted it to be our first.
We don't do it at all. We stay far away.
No, you have to do it. So we're talking about Robert the doll, which we love. Robert the doll. We are happy, and he is a handsome boy. Just wait. But
scared.
No, but so I wanted to get it out of the way. Okay. Right? I wanted to, because you have to talk about him. I mean, it's literally known as one of the most cursed dolls ever, like above Annabelle. Like it's
okay.
It's serious. Basically, like a brief synopsis is people who look at him, like look at that picture. It more specifically, if you take a picture of him without asking his permission, shit happens, like bad shit. So there, and I'll send you like the pictures. There are actual letters. People will write in letters to Robert after visiting and taking a picture to apologize. And I'm not talking about like a few people. Thousands of people have gone to see this doll. He's located in Key West.
I'm terrified to his picture. Say anything, like to comment on anything.
Just no, you compliment him. He is a sweet boy. But yeah, dig into that a little later. But yeah, synopsis, we love him. He's very nice. But yeah, first podcast topic.
I'm moving soon, so I don't need any kind of bad luck.
You're gonna leave it in this apartment. Okay? It's gonna be fine. We didn't take these pictures either. But yes, so the history.
Yes.
It's kind of the same thing with yours, with like the Hope Diamond. It's interesting. There's basically two main stories. There's like the folklore story, and then there's actual like kind of more traceable, but like people kind of disagree on which one is real. So like I'm gonna start off with the spookiest and the more sinister one, obviously. The theory is that the straw-filled life-size doll, by the way, he is 4 feet tall, was given to the youngest Otto boy. So it's an Otto family. Youngest Otto boy by one of his family's maids. Which is a nice gift, right? And wrong.
It's filled with straw?
So that's what this version, theoretically, it's a shaved wood, which is interesting. It's like they took wood and shaved it. I'm just going to send you the pictures real quick. So we're just going to, are you ready?
No.
Okay. I have 3 of them. So I'm just going to drop that in there. Isn't he handsome? He's so handsome. So it's an old.
Even
it's an old doll.
Touch the picture. Is the puppy like a part of it?
We'll explain that later.
Oh, okay.
We'll explain it later. It's
like wood shavings.
He's filled with wood shavings. Now, again, a more sinister version, and I didn't write this in my notes because, I mean, I'm serious. I watched so many I watched at least 3 documentaries. I researched the hell out of this. Listened to like 4 podcasts. They all say something different. So the creepiest one. So basically,
yeah, continue.
The mother of the family was really shitty to the servants who helped around the house because at the time they weren't really servants. But apparently she found some of them practicing voodoo. So she fired them or punished them. So again, the story kind of differs. Regardless, before the maid left the house, she hexed the doll and gave it to little Robert Jean Otto. Now again, there was one version where the hair was the doll was made from Otto's hair. Like some of Otto's hair was put into the doll. It was only one story that I heard say that, so right. I don't know if they're just trying to make it extra spooky, but yeah, it's still Creepy. Anyways, the other origin story isn't as spooky. It said the doll actually came from Germany. But again, different sources say that the doll either came from his grandfather or his aunt. So it came from Germany, though. We know that. Both apparently liked to travel to Germany. And they did like a testing on the doll. It actually can be traced back to the Steiff company, which actually are the same toy makers that made the original teddy bear. How cute.
Cute. So there was more than one of these dolls out there?
No.
Okay.
So according to them, Robert was actually never intended to be sold as a toy. It was most likely supposed to be part of a set like fabricated for like a window display of clowns or jesters. So it was supposed to be like a window display, which explains like the life size. So basically it's kind of like they bought it off of like a window set, brought it home, gave it to the 4-year-old boy. And they were like the same height too. Anyway, upon receiving the doll, Robert took an instant liking to it and suddenly stated that from then on, he was going to be called Gene, and the doll was going to be called Robert. So if you remember, the little boy's name was Robert Gene Otto. So he then named the doll Robert and said, "I want to be called Gene." Okay. So gave the doll his name. Yeah.
Okay.
So the two then became absolutely inseparable. In one of the stories, the aunt apparently gave the doll to Gene because he was having a really hard time making friends. And so it was kind of to try to get him to start socializing, but it actually had the opposite effect. He literally only socialized with the doll now. It was like his only companion. He began dressing it in his own clothes. He would carry it wherever he went, despite the awkward size, like, because you imagine like a 4-year, imagine little Beanie carrying around a 4-foot doll. Yep.
Insane.
Would sit him down at the dinner table with the family and then pretend to feed him his food, like literally. I mean, so okay.
Kids do
Some
that.
kids just really love their dolls, right? Gene was so close to his new friend that his parents would often hear him whispering to it and playing with it, which again seems kind of normal for a young child, until one day they heard the voice whisper back, and it was a much deeper voice than Gene. At first they were like, okay, maybe he's just throwing his voice. They were like, it's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. They kept listening. They kept listening until they were convinced there was somebody else in the room, because the voice was so low. They were like, there's no possible way for this little boy to have that voice come out of him. Mm-hmm. So the parents literally charged in the room because they thought they were going to see a grown-ass man in the room with him. And they walk in on Gene and Robert staring at each other on his bed, just carrying on a conversation. And things started to get worse from here. So.
Oh boy. Okay.
Buckle up. So Gene started to get horrible nightmares. And his parents would rush in to find their youngest child screaming as if he was being attacked. And they'd usually find Robert sitting at the end of his bed or at the rocking chair beside his bed, watching him, staring at him. As Gene then would grow older, his parents would find his toys mutilated and thrown all over the house. When his parents would ask Gene, like, why did you do this? Why did you destroy this toy? We just bought it for you. He would simply answer, Robert did it. Some speculate that, that Gene would do it kind of for attention, but like his parents would buy him toys that he would want to play with, and they would get destroyed. So it's kind of speculated to say that the toys were destroyed to ensure that Gene didn't have any other toys to play with except for Robert.
Right, Robert was jealous.
Mm-hmm. So, and it got to be like things started happening around the house. Things would move across the room. things would be thrown across the room. They would hear giggling down the hall, thinking, "Oh, it's just Jean. Jean's not home." So anything that creepy or spooky, like what would happen in the house, and they would be like, "Jean, what are you doing?" He's like, "Robert did it." So literally, it just became this thing of like Robert did it, because Robert was doing it. So like people do like skeptics are like, "Oh, the kid was just lonely. He was reaching out for attention," but like also other things don't like. He would destroy things that wouldn't make sense, or he would like. If you're thinking the child would do it, he would do things that just didn't make sense to a child. Like they wouldn't think about doing, like moving a rocking chair across the room. Like they would have a rocking chair in the corner. They'd come back in the room. The rocking chair is now facing outside, looking out the window, and Robert's in it. Like, why would he do? Anyway. So, the nightmares he was getting really started to get more frequent and severe. Soon his parents would come into the room and the furniture would be flipped over. And things would appear to be thrown all over the room. At one point, they came in to find Robert draped over top of Jean, as if holding him down as he was screaming in his nightmare. Yeah. So, going back, if you think about the aunt that theoretically got him, one day his aunt came to visit. She witnessed the doll's hold on Jean. She noticed that there was something really not right with like the relationship, and the strange behavior. Right. So she insisted that the doll was only meant to be a temporary playmate, right? It was supposed to be like a transitioning thing. And what was transpiring between Jean and Robert had really kind of gone too far. So she convinced Jean's parents to lock Robert away in the attic. Which seems great, right?
I don't think it was great. I don't think that.
The next morning, the aunt was found dead. It appeared as if she's passed away from natural causes. But it just seems suspicious, so I figured I'd mention it.
She died in the house while she was visiting?
She died. She had left the house, went back, but she was found dead in her house from natural causes. But yeah, moving on. So, after the death of his aunt, Jean was sent to boarding school right away. They didn't feel safe with him being there, so they left Robert locked in the attic. So you're like, oh, great, it's the end of the story, right? Yeah, no. During this time, the neighbors would claim they could see Robert in the top floor window of the house scowling at them. And this is how the legend of Robert the doll started to spread. So fast forward a little bit, and Jean's graduating, yay, goes off to college and meets his soon-to-be wife, Anne. Then Jean's father dies in 1917. And it had nothing. And Robert's still locked in the attic.
Yeah, don't open the attic.
So soon, Jean got married to Anne. And then his mother took ill. So he and his new bride moved back into the family house to take care.
Burn the house down. Move her into your house. Burn the house down. Okay.
So while at college, Jean actually made a name for himself. He was a well-known artist at the time and decided that the upper turret room of the house, and I didn't get a picture of the house, which I should have, and I can find for you, but imagine like a really old fancy like Victorian house. You know how they had like the little cone things? That's called like a turret room. So like it's a room, it's at the top of the house, has really good lighting. So he was like, oh, you know, I want to make that into an art studio.
Is it in the attic?
Guess who he found? Good old Robert. And how they missed each other. So now he's a grown-ass man. Once they reunited, his obsession began again.
No!
He would prop Robert up to watch him paint. And he eventually designed a special room for Robert, complete with furniture, toys, and even a teddy bear of his own. That is not the teddy bear that's in the picture, by the way, but he had his own. He had his own little teddy bear. Locals swore that the doll, he would prop Robert up to look out the window. Obviously, you don't want him to be, bored. The doll would be facing outside to watch them as they walk by, and then would disappear and then reappear facing another window, as if somebody was moving him to change windows. Nobody's moving the doll to change windows. Or that his gaze would follow them as they pass by. So literally, people who would be walking by started to avoid passing this house, would cross the street and would not walk on the sidewalk in front of the house. Like legit local legend. They were terrified of this doll. Poor Anne.
Bad vibes. Bad vibes.
Poor Anne did not know what she was getting into. Anne loved to entertain. She loved having people over. And so she would. But quickly, guests would take note of Robert because he kept bringing him places. He had a really disturbing presence around him. I mean, the fact that he's such a handsome boy, but the fact that you're a grown man carrying around a life-size doll, I could understand why people would think that was, disturbing. But there are multiple accounts of watching his expression change depending on the conversation in the room. Like he was actually listening. Like multiple people.
How does
they would also
expression?
I mean, keep staring at it. Maybe you'll see.
I want to.
They would claim to hear footsteps coming from the attic. Things started moving around in the room with no explanation. Does this sound familiar? Okay, so suddenly Anne noticed that Gene's demeanor started to change. He would get extremely angry and violent for no reason, like short fuse. Think like Amityville Horror, like it literally, like just completely demeanor change. And then as suddenly as it started, he would return with like no recollection of what he had said or done. None. He didn't understand why she was upset, what he had said. He didn't. Yeah. Creepy. One of the last straws for Anne was when a plumber ran screaming from the house, literally screaming from their house, after seeing a white flash pass by out of the corner of his eye. So he assumed that it was a child that they don't have. Ran up the stairs. The white flash ran up the stairs, and then he heard giggling coming from upstairs. So like I said, he assumed it was a child, so he went to investigate it, following the giggles. And he came up to Robert's room and found Robert sitting facing the door in the chair. And then he ran. It was a joke. It's like, children's laughter is the cutest thing ever until you're alone at night and you don't have a child in the house. Like that's what I think.
Yeah. The mother's passed by now, I'm assuming, right? So it's just them two and beautiful Robert.
Yep. And they never had kids.
I wonder why. Yeah, never.
No. Robert filled that hole for them. Anyway, after this, Anne demanded Robert get locked in the cedar chest up in the attic and never let go. There's no report of Anne. I think Anne passed away in her ripe old age. There's like no
she didn't leave
that happens
him?
to her. Nope.
They never had children together.
So that being said, Myrtle Reuter purchased the artist's house, and it was named the artist's house because Gene was an artist, and so they named it that, right? She purchased the house after Otto's death in 1974.
So Gene agreed to lock Robert in the chest? Okay.
Yep, and nothing else happened after that until Myrtle bought the house.
Okay.
And Myrtle found Robert because it was like an estate sale, so everything was like, Otto passed away, Anne had gone before him, so Myrtle bought the house as is and found Robert. Hey. People who visited Myrtle would swear that they would hear footsteps in the attic and giggling.
Why are they giggling? Well,
so it's a new owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
New friends, new visitors. These people would now claim that Robert's expression would change, especially if anyone badmouthed Otto in his presence. So the previous owner. Bruder claimed that Robert would move around the house on his own. And after 20 years of his antics, and that was a quote, 20 years of his antics, she donated him to Key West Art and Historical Society Museum.
Did she just like keep him on display or something?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because he's a beautiful boy.
Is people okay?
I don't know. You would think that would, being donated to a museum would like make him fade into obscurity. However, his arrival at the museum actually did the complete opposite. So since Robert has arrived, visitors have flocked to the museum to get a look at the mischievous little toy. He's actually appeared on TV shows. He had his aura photographed. I thought that was autographed. It says aura photographed. I don't know what that note means. He's a stop on the Ghost Tour, and he also inspired a horror movie. Do you want to guess what movie he inspired?
I don't know.
Chucky! Child's Play. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really?
He is the inspiration for Child's Play.
Wow.
Because he's such a good boy. So, back into like the curse, into the weird stuff. So, visitors to the museum naturally would take pictures of the I want to make sure this is old historic doll. Don't want to badmouth him. As eerie as he is, people want to take photographs of him, and then began experiencing bizarre mishaps after leaving the museum. Some got into car accidents, experienced broken bones, job loss, divorce, and a cornucopia of other misfortunes. And they all attribute them to the curse of Robert the doll.
Just because they took a picture of him?
Without asking his permission. Letters began pouring in to the museum from literally all over the world, apologizing to the haunted doll for taking his photograph and asking for the curse to be lifted. And in one of those pictures I sent you, with the one with the case, you could see some of the letters. Mm-hmm. Like there are like actual, well, I'm just gonna hit myself. Many of these letters can be seen on the display with Robert. And now those who wish to take his photographs ask for permission first.
Do they have also, like a sign now that says please ask for permission before taking a photo?
Or take a photo at your own risk. Yeah. Yep. Also you'll see in the picture, here's to answer your question, there's a little lion now with Robert the doll. It's a lion. Interesting enough, this is folklore, if you believe it. The people at the museum state that while cleaning one day, they noticed a toy was missing from one of the other display cases. And they couldn't find it literally anywhere. They actually thought it got stolen. Until they went to check on Robert. And there was the missing stuffed lion in a completely sealed case. And that's the story of Robert the doll. Did you like it?
Oh my gosh.
The little lion.
Wow.
That's Robert. Yeah, I figured we could just get it out of the way, you know? And he's such a handsome boy.
So wonderful. He's lived a wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my question to you, do you think it's real? Do you think he's cursed?
But like how, like, I don't know.
You don't want to back back. I mean, I think. Well, I don't want to push you into saying something you don't want to say. I mean, it kind of goes into all the hauntings, right? Like, can you really explain any hauntings? You know, like true. you can usually debunk things.
It's interesting. It's just interesting.
It is. Mm-hmm.
It definitely seemed like he had more of a hold on Jean than he did Myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and that could be traced back to the theoretical maid who put a hex on the doll, who put Robert's hair in it.
That's true.
And again, I mean, there are so many different stories.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I figured I'd give you the most of them. Like the summarization.
No. That was interesting for sure. I don't know how to, I don't know how to respond. Like,
it's creepy as fuck. So anyway, but
yeah,
close him out. Such a handsome boy.
We'll say next week is natural disaster / shipwreck. So
yes,
stay tuned.
Be there because they're good.
Be there.
You don't want to be a square. You want to be a diamond.
You want to be a blue diamond.
Not blue. Blue are cursed. We just went over this. Be red or clear.
Red or clear. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed I don't know, what's all the podcast things like rate the podcast or what is it? I don't know what it is.
No, give us a follow. I think we're gonna put this out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's definitely gonna be on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So like and subscribe there. And if you're not following on all those other platforms, I think we're a TAA podcast, Traumatized and Abused Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. So we just made a Twitter. We're doing a thing. And TikTok is coming.
Gonna be a TikTok. We had a hiccup.
There will be a TikTok. Weird. Well, Mercury is fucking with us. It's over in 5 days.
Mercury is not in retrograde.
Got 5 days. I'm just praying this recorded, and everything's gonna be great. Because this is like the last thing I have to do before she's back. She's out. She's out. Go away.
Go.
But we love you.
Yeah. So like, follow, rate, all the good things, and
give us a review. Yeah. Apple Podcast does reviews. So if you do that,
it's definitely
it helps
not
us.
Gonna make us cry. So
yeah, don't say anything bad.
I don't know if I
severe anxiety.
We're people pleasers.
We'll make our husbands read them and then delete all the bad ones. No, you can't delete reviews, can you? No. We'll just ignore the bad ones. No, they're not going to be any bad ones because we're perfect. Obviously.
Yeah, sure. And we'll get better. This is our first episode, so we're like working things out. We'll find our niche, and it's gonna be great. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited. It's a thing.
Yeah. Bye. There's no way we just did that, huh?
If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to follow the podcast and leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with our username @TTATA Podcast. Thanks for listening.